All right, so I do have my earphones in. Welcome to Against the Odds. That's what I've decided to call this little um, odds analysis show that I'm doing. Is Against the Odds. This is MMA Fight Bet, where we help you break down what lines, what bet lines might be the best for upcoming UFC and MMA fights that are getting ready to take place. Let's go in. And my previous video, I apologize, I watched it and you can't really see the odds and the lines very well. They're so small. So I actually went in. Let's go ahead and take a look. And I made it a little bit bigger for you guys. So as you guys can see, a little bit of action today as far as the movement of these lines on the Volkov Overeem fight coming up at UFC Vegas 18 or UFC Fight Night 184, whatever you want to call it. I actually want to take this hat off and excuse me, but at Sportbet today, there's been, so I think all week it's been pretty similar to this, but Overeem's pretty much been in the 150s, right? There it goes. So you can see today, last night, Overeem was at 160, 161. That was on January 30th. So here we are, January 31st, and he's at 169. So his at Sportbet, his odds of winning are actually decreasing according to them. Volkov, he's starting off at a negative 175. Dropped as low as negative 190. I guess this is at Sports International Sportsbook. And now he is back. He's actually gone down to 170. So odds decreasing that he's going to win that fight there, according to them. So the lines are starting to move a little bit on these guys. Like I said, I've said all along that I think the lines are backwards. I feel it should be the other way around. But I can see how the bookies believe that Volkov is going to piece Overeem up. You know, in Overeem's last fight, if you look at his fight, I believe against Walt Harris, Harris catches him early and almost puts him away. In fact, you could argue the fact that the referee could have stopped that fight. He could have stopped that fight, and Overeem couldn't have argued too much about it. He was hurt pretty bad. So I can see where Vegas and the bookies think that Volkov is going to be able to catch Reem with a shot and put him away. I personally don't think it's going to happen, but let's find out. Moving on here, we have the Corey Sandhagen, Frankie Edgar bout. A bout that I'm very, very much looking forward to watching. A little bit of line movement on this today here at Best Fight Odds. By the way, you guys go check out bestfightodds.com. It's a great site. It's where you guys can get in and look at these fights, look at the odds of them, and look at the props on them a little bit earlier by looking at all of the sports books at once. And some of them release props earlier than others, and you can kind of go in and check those out. But no doubt here, Corey Sandhagen, massive favorite, right? And it's hard to argue with it. He's young. He's vibrant. Super fast. Moves super well. Powerful. He's got everything going in his favor. He just sent a head kick off the dome of Marlon Moraes that finished him. Moraes, billed as the power in that division, and Sandhagen just made him look like a fool, right? And so the bookies are playing off of that, and he's a huge favorite. I have seen these as high as negative 500, I believe, earlier, about a week ago or so. I did see a couple of these that had him at negative 500. Let's take a look here at any movements. So at Sports International, see if we can get this to load differently. Maybe I can get it to go. There we go. So he's actually, you start back here on January 12th, he's at negative 400. He's starting to move, moving down to a negative 370 here as we pull up on the 1st of February. Not making much difference there. Still a heavily favored fighter. But that shows you there over here at Sports International. You got money coming in on Frankie Edgar. And it's starting to move his odds of winning and moving his odds down. If we go back to the 12th of January, he's at a plus 280. And here we are sitting on February 1st, January 30th is when this happened. Moved to 4:38 p.m. Edgar's all the way down to plus 265. How far down are they going to drive him, right? And you gotta think that here's the line movement. I'm not sure how I did that, but we'll get into that eventually. But you got to wonder how far down he can be moved. You know, a plus 265. I don't think that he could go any lower than, plus 250. He's going to have to be somewhere in that ballpark, because I believe Sandhagen, I don't think it's going to make a difference even as we draw closer to fight day. I don't see Frankie Edgar getting any lower than plus 250, maybe plus 240, plus 230. And you see here they got his odds decreasing. They got him at plus 350. Where's this at? Man, you get at bet 365, you can pick up plus 350 on Frankie Edgar right now. You can pick up plus 363 at Sportbet on him. We go back to January 8th, you could get him for 341. And now he's 363. Let's look at the props on this fight. I don't like betting a winner of that fight anyways. And no, I don't think Edgar's done. I think his odds right now are about right. I think this line's about right. I don't necessarily agree with Sandhagen being negative 440 or negative 500. I don't believe he's that type of favorite in this fight. Negative 300, sure. But we're talking about Frankie Edgar here. We're talking about a guy. If you want to talk about pedigree, he's been facing nothing but world-class competition. And I mean world-class competition. He's been facing nothing but the world's best. The absolute 1% of fighters. Going all the way back to 2012, 2010. For 22 years. He's never had an easy fight. Granted, he's 40 years old, but that's what these odds are all about right here in this fight is the age gap. And that's it. You know, if you took both of these fighters and you made Frankie Edgar 26 or 29, however old Sandhagen is, these odds would be flipped, right? So they're basically saying, look, Edgar's done. He's 40. Sandhagen's coming in to finish him off. Is that going to happen? And is Edgar done? I don't know. He looked pretty good against Munoz. Tell me he didn't. Look like a 26-year-old Edgar? Probably not. Probably not. But he didn't look bad. He didn't look bad. And a smarter fighter, obviously now that he's 40. He's a smarter fighter. Might even be, you know, I agree. It's tough to compete at 40. But there are some advantages of being in that many clashes. You know, there really is. But let's go in and look at these. Because ultimately, I will bet on a prop on this fight. I won't take the money line win. I won't take Edgar to win or Sandhagen to win. The over and under on this fight is going to be 2.5 rounds. And they're saying over 2.5 across the board. It's about negative 200. So you got to put up 2 to get 1 in return. Vegas believes this fight will go over 2.5 rounds. Now, see, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's a 3-round fight. They think it's going to go the distance. Basically, is what they're saying. You got to think maybe if this fight does go the distance, that it helps Edgar's chance of winning. I guess it is what it is. Under 2.5 rounds. They're saying that that's probable too. You know, when you look at the odds that they've thrown up, 150, 158, 170. So they're not really willing. Well, I guess 1.5 your money is decent odds, but they're not saying, hey, we're so confident this ain't going to happen that we're willing to pay you 2 times your money, right? To entice you to do it. This Sports International, oh no, I'm sorry, Pinnacle, getting close. Getting close at 170. Plus 170, they're almost 2 times. If you want to bet this line, if you're wanting to bet this line under 2.5, so if you think, and like I said, this is one of the reasons that I wish where I bet Bovada, which I love my sports book. I love betting there. It's a great place, fast withdrawals, easy deposits, teach you how to use Bitcoin. I wish that they would put up their props earlier so that you could take a look at them. But you go in here and you look, and you go back. Of course, they ain't been tracking this very long. Since the 27th of January. Let's see here. Nope, the 26th of January. Pinnacle put out the over-under on this fight and introduced it at 150. And I guess so many people are betting on the over that here we are on the 31st and we ran this up to plus 170. You're close to getting 2 for 1 on your money. Watch that line. We'll call an alert on that line right there at Pinnacle. This one right here, plus 170, under 2.5. If you're one of these guys that's thinking, hey, Sport Bet will give it to you too. When did this happen? 7 just now. Well, no, it's been there since the 29th. A couple days ago. So at Sportbook, 5 dimes. Been that way since the 29th at 5 dimes too. He's at plus 175 at 5 dimes on Wednesday. And I think it's an enticing bet. I think it's an enticing line. I'm not. If you look at the way, for example, if you think Sandhagen is going to put a kick off Edgar's dome like he did to Marias and get him out of there, surely it would be under 2.5. It's a 3-round fight. And you got him at a 500, plus 400, plus 500 favorite. That's for a decision? Nah. Here's the odds of all of them. Over 2.5 rounds, mean odds. 2 to 1. Under 2.5, mean odds. 162 plus 162. Right there. You get plus 162. Very similar, when you talk about fight goes to decision or it doesn't go to decision, right? On this Sandhagen, Frankie Edgar deal. Almost 2 to 1. Fight goes to decision. fight doesn't go to decision is almost 1.5 times your money. Plus 140, plus 130 across the board. Fight starts round 2, or fight completes 1 full round. There's another way you can look at that in this fight. They're very confident. Very, very confident that this fight starts round 2. You got to put up $500 to make $100 basically on that line. Fight won't start round 2, or fight doesn't complete 1 full round. They'll pay you plus 350. You put up 100, they'll give you 350 back if this fight ends in the first. If the bell doesn't start for round 2. Fight starts round 3. A fight doesn't start round 3. Or another way to look at that is fight completes 2 full rounds, or fight doesn't complete 2 full rounds. So a negative 245 when we're talking about fight completes 2 full rounds here. If you want to put that up, you put up $250 basically. They're going to give you a bone back. If you bet that fight ends before the beginning of round 3, doesn't complete 2 full rounds, you're essentially going to put up $100 and you're going to get back almost 200 plus your 100, right? Fight is a draw, which is not going to happen. Let's just go ahead and admit that, but they're willing to pay you $6,000 for $100. You put up $100. If the fight draws, they'll give you $6,000, $5,500. You go over here. At Bet Online, they got even a better draw line. And it's always been 6,600, so it's not on betting action. Because I highly doubt that anybody's throwing that up there. This fight's not going to end in a draw. We all know that, right? But to make 100, our fight is not a draw. You put up 13,500 if you got the option to bet this at your sports book. I don't think most of them allow it. But you put 13,500, you risk that much, they'll give you $100 if it ends in not a draw. So here's the one that a lot of people are going to end up betting, which is Sandhagen wins by TKO, KO, plus 240. If you're Sportsbook allows you to do any other result. You give them $320, they give you back $100. You got to pay $320 in juice. Edgar wins by TKO. KO. You put up 100, get back 1,000, 1,300 roughly, plus 1,350, plus 1,200. Sandhagen wins by submission, plus 800. Any other result, you give them 1,700 in juice, they'll give you $100. Edgar wins by submission, is plus 1,600. Let's go ahead and look in the distance on this. Sandhagen wins inside the distance, plus 185. Not Sandhagen inside the distance. You pay $250 in juice roughly to make $100. Edgar wins inside the distance, is plus 900. Not Edgar inside the distance, roughly 1,600 in juice to make $100. And here's where probably the crux of this is. If you're thinking that this fight is going to a decision, which it looks like the majority of people do at this point. Now, as we draw closer to Saturday, let's see how that changes. But Sandhagen wins by decision. You got to put up $105 in juice to get a bone back. So basically, 1-for-1 your money, just a little bit less than 1-for-1 your money, and that's what the sports book has this fight as doing, right? Edgar wins by decision, plus 500. If you still believe in Frankie Edgar, and you believe that Edgar can squeak out of a decision victory over Sandhagen, and hey, listen, I'm not against it. I thought he looked really good versus Moonhouse. If you feel that he can squeak out that decision, you put up a bone, and these sports books, if it happens, they're going to give you $500. I'm not going to get into the rounds on this. This video is probably running super long as it is. We're at 28 minutes. I'm going to take you inside and look at these two guys, how they stack up real quick over at Tapology. And so you can make your own decision. This is UFC Vegas 18. Let me increase the size of this a little bit so you guys can see it. Right. We got Corey Sandhagen. This is the fight that we're talking about that we just broke down. The odds on Corey Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar. It's the co-main event of UFC Vegas 18. And we have 3 5-minute rounds. Edgar, number 10 bantamweight in the world, according to Tapology. And Corey Sandhagen right now, number 3 bantamweight in the world in the UFC men's division, both of these guys. When we talk about the record for Sandhagen, he's 13-2. 0 draws. And Frankie Edgar, of course, being in that elite pedigree of competition, is 24 wins, 8 losses, and he does have a draw on his record, 24, 8, and 1. Let's go in and take a look at Corey Sandhagen here, our 13-2 fighter. He's a fit athlete. Last weigh in at 136 pounds, born in 1992. He's 5'11", very tall for a bantamweight. He's almost 6 foot. He's got a 70-inch reach. Go in and look at some of his statistics from the UFC. And let's see here. He does have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight UFC career. So his statistics on here should be somewhat accurate. Significant lands per minute is 6.88. That's pretty good. Significant strike accuracy is 48%. Significant strikes attempted per minute is 3.89. Boy, that don't make a lot of sense now, does it? If he lands, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, it's absorbed per minute. I'm sorry. I thought it was attempted. So, Sandhagen will throw out. He'll land 6, almost 7 strikes per minute on his opponent. 48% of the strikes that he throws, he lands. He absorbs, on average, about 4 strikes per minute. Significant strike defense. He blocks, or you can say around 60% of the significant strikes thrown his way do not land. Takedown average, he's averaging just over 1 takedown per 15 minutes. Takedown accuracy, 50%. That's pretty good. Takedown defense is 30%. Not great, if I'm being honest, over 7 fights. Submission average. He will attempt submissions. Over his 7 fights, he's attempted a half of a submission every 15 minutes. So he's not against taking guys out via, rear naked choke or guillotine choke or something like that. This guy's a switch stance fighter. That's interesting. He can bounce back and forth at will between left and right. So we'll go in here. He fights the Elevation Fight Team. Marlon Moraes, Aljamain Sterling, whooped him. I was back at UFC 250, whooped him bad. He's beat Rafael Asiancio. I can never pronounce that guy's last name. John Lineker, Mario Batista, Lurie Alcantara, Austin Arnett, and Jose Aguayo. I'm sorry, Jose was in LFA. That's okay. So his UFC fights, the ones I care about, significantly stop at Austin Arnett. The LFA is a feeder division into the UFC. So you can kind of see the class of fighters that he's been fighting. Now, get ready to be blown away when we talk about class. When we talk about a guy that's got a resume. 24-8-1. Now you're not going to find going here Frankie Edgar, who is over almost a 35 fight veteran. Most of those took place in the UFC, I'm assuming. Born in 1981. Ricardo Alameda Jiu-Jitsu. Let's go in here and take a look at his UFC stats. Significant lands per minute is 3.7. So you can right there, you see his output is nowhere near Corey Sandhagen. So he's not going to throw as many punches. But as you can see here, we're talking about a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 28, 29. Talking about a 29 fight UFC stat breakdown instead of a 7. So we'll see where Sandhagen's is at when he's 39, right? I highly doubt it'll stay at that 6.88. He doesn't have nowhere near the octagon time that Frankie Edgar had. Strike accuracy. Significant strike accuracy is 39%, so he lands significantly less averaged, if you want to say that, than Sandhagen does. Significant strikes absorbed per minute. Here's where things get interesting. Edgar only absorbs 2.7 strikes a minute. That's key. That's key in this fight because, listen, over 29 fights, and you've got that kind of stat where guys can only say that they can only hit you significantly 3 times a minute. Whereas Sandhagen, we looked and seen on him, he was getting struck 4 times a minute. 3.88, basically 4. So that's one more, 1.4 more big bombs that Sandhagen eats per minute than does Frankie Edgar. Strike defense, significant strike defense, 66%. Sandhagen's was 60. So 66% of the shots, significant shots that are thrown at Edgar don't land, or he blocks them, right? Takedown average, way higher, way higher. 2.28 takedowns per 15 minutes. Takedown accuracy, 31%, but you got to remember that's over a 29 fight career, right? Takedown defense is up there at 65%, so it's hard to take Edgar down. He blocks people 65% of the time that they try. Not a crazy, insane takedown defense percentage. And I like to see when I see guys that have up over 70, 80%, and they got 10, 15 fights in the UFC. That's when I start to say, well, wow, you know. Submission average, 0.3. So, not a huge submission fighter. He attempts less than half of a submission every 15 minutes. Okay? We're going to wrap this up. I'm going through this. I'm just going to wrap this up with you guys real quick. I know this video is running long, and then I'm going to give you my official line, my official prediction on this fight. Let's go in here and look. I'm going to show you guys the difference in pedigree. He's getting ready to fight Sandhagen. He fought Pedro Munhoz. He fought Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie. He fought Max Holloway. He fought Cub Swanson. He fought Brian Ortega. He fought Yair Rodriguez. He fought Jeremy Stevens. He fought Jose Aldo, Chad Mendez, Uriah Faber, Cub Swanson again, BJ Penn, Charles Oliveira. Look at where Charles Oliveira is at now. Jose Aldo, Benson Henderson, Gray Maynard, BJ Penn again, Matt Beach, Sean Shirk, Herms Franca, Gray Maynard, Spencer Fisher. And the list goes on and on and on. Frankie Edgar has been in nothing but elite competition. Sorry about that. That was my daughters. Those are my daughters banging on the door there. So I got to wrap this video up. But going all the way back to 2009, well, right there's Herms Franca and Gray Maynard. You could say going all the way back at least to 2007. We're going on 25 years where this guy has fought nothing but the world's best at that time. 25 years of fighting nothing but the world's best. Anytime he steps in the cage, he is fighting against the world's best athletes. Does that make a difference? Going in, he's 5'6". He gives up 5 inches and 2 inches in reach. Gives up a half a pound. Look at that big earnings. I guarantee you it's way more than that. That's just what he's disclosed. Fighting out of Toms River, New Jersey, United States. What do you do on this fight, right? You gotta hope. I guess you gotta hope that. And Sandhagen is. He's a good fighter. He is. There ain't no doubt. I'm gonna go with my heart on this. Because when I looked at this fight, and I seen, and well, evidently the sportsbook thinks kind of the same that I do. I mean, they're not super sure about it, but I'm gonna go with what I believe should happen, and I'm gonna pick my official prediction for this fight is right here, and I might lose this one. Fight goes to a decision, or fight goes to distance. I think putting up. Listen, anytime you can put up 200 and get one back, I think it's decent on your money. You know, you're not making 1 for 1. Everybody's stuck on that, but listen, there are times when I take -3, -4, -500 lines because they're the most intelligent bet at that time. Yeah, they don't pay awesome, but 20-30% on your money is better than zero. Ask a stockbroker, ask a Wall Street guy, ask any of these guys, would they rather get 15 or 20% or even 30% on their money? Would they be happy with that type of return inside of 15 minutes? And they're all going to say, are you crazy? Well, hell yeah, I would. Right? Fight goes to decision is my official prediction for the Frankie Edgar versus Corey Sandhagen, or Corey Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar fight at UFC Fight Night 184, UFC Vegas 18. I'm Anthony with MMA Fight Bet. This has been Against the Odds. Visit MMAFIGHTBET.com. Thanks for going over it with me, guys. I'll see you later.